So the strangest thing happened to me today. I was out shopping at a mall and this guy walks up to me and, mind you, he's very attractive. But he's like, oh my gosh, I manifested you. Like, you're so perfect. You look like you're into meditation. And like, we ended up like having a pretty good conversation. We went on this cute little walk. But then this man had the audacity to then invite me up to his room as if like I'm gonna meet you and then like 20 minutes later we're gonna have sex. I'm just, what is happening in this world?
What is happening, these girls say? You know, this is something that we hear time and time again, right? Which is like, what is happening? Why are men acting in this way? Why do men just want to save all the time and cut out the BS? Why won't men just text me back for 6 months at a time and deal with all my BS? You know, why aren't men looking for relationships anymore? And here's the funny thing, guys. I recorded a video, which will be released probably after this one, where girls don't want to hear the truth, guys. They don't want to hear what men's preferences are. They don't want to hear what men have to say about things. If you try and go to a girl, you know what? I don't want to get in a long-term relationship. I don't want to have a wife who dresses in such a way. Oh, these girls will lose their mind, right? Because they don't want to hear any standards that men may have or preferences or anything like that. It's all about me, me, me. And here's the thing, guys. A lot of men have realized, you know what? If a girl's attracted to me, it's not going to matter if I talk to her for 6 months or not and try and, you know, make her more interested in me. If she's attracted to me, she's attracted to me. Now, guys, I wanted to show you this comment just before we kind of jump off with today's episode. But check this out. So this is the comments from the video that we just watched right there, the girl talking in her car. And now check out this comment right here. Hank says, was his room clean? And the creator of the TikTok writes back, lol meh, it's a bachelor pad. I was like, nice view, gotta go, bro. And then that's where she left it. Okay, first of all, guys, is like, if a girl comes, I don't believe that for a second, okay? First of all, there's a good chance that she's making this up just for attention on the internet, saying that she got approached by an attractive guy. But second of all, if she did and she actually did go to his room, this wouldn't be what happened right here, where she just walks up and then says that she's got to go. A lot of these girls be lying, man. And, you know, we'll never know what really was the truth here, but I wouldn't be surprised if this was not the case at all right here. But you know, this is something that a lot of guys are doing, right? Check this out. Well, that's a red flag if I've ever heard one. It sounds like that's his deal. He probably is very successful with it too. Okay, and just one of the funny things before we kick off today's show is notice how he used the word, apparently, at least according to her, he used the word manifesting. Right? I swear, man, a lot of guys are going, you know what? Why even talk to these girls anymore? I'm just going to throw their own lingo back at them. Maybe I'll start talking about star signs and rocks and all that kind of crap. And if it sticks, it sticks. Because this man unironically used the word manifested. Because like that's what these, if you guys are not aware, that's what a lot of these girls are doing. Because rather than try and put effort into relationships or actually go out there and find and keep a man, they'd rather manifest everything. Because, you know, truth be told, that's how it works for a lot of these girls, guys. They don't have to do crap. All right, but let's continue on to today's episode. What is going on, guys? It is Taylor the Fiend back again with another response video. And on today's show, guys, I actually had a question over on Patreon that I wanted to pull up here if I can hit the right damn screen, which is this, okay? Why don't modern women, and I had to write girls to kind of shorten it or else it would go off the screen, why don't modern women accept accountability? Okay, what is the issue here? And guys, feel free to leave your thoughts and your comments to this. And there are a few answers to this question, but you know, one of the main ones, I guess, why a lot of these girls don't accept accountability is because one, people aren't holding them accountable, right? Anyone who tries to hold them accountable, they'll just absolutely shame. And number two on why modern women don't accept accountability, guys, is because a lot of them think that they've done literally nothing wrong. Right? They think that they can do no wrong, and everything they do is correct, and it's all on the guys to do all these sorts of things. But yeah, that's a very flimsy answer. We're going to be returning to that question later on as I think how to better answer it.
I've had people ask.
But let's continue on to the next few women here, guys. And just a bit of a warning, we're about to enter some clown world TikToks.
I've had people ask me, how are you always single? You're not ugly. And to that I say, what you have failed to consider is that I'm fucking annoying.
Right, okay. Now, gentlemen, this is a point that, like, it is a bit of satire, right? Like, watching videos like this, but you've got to understand, a lot of guys will actually not date you if you're annoying. right? A lot of these girls seem to think it's funny or it's cute or it's like endearing to annoy a guy or to cause issues in his life or to just start drama and stuff like that. Where, honest to God, you know, I've made this point a few times before, but a lot of men just want peace, right? Someone who's not going to cause issues, somebody who's not going to cause a lot of problems and stuff like that. You know, and not a lot of girls will straight up admit the fact that they're, you know, that they're incredibly annoying. So shout out to this girl for doing that. But yeah, that's actually a huge reason why a lot of men choose not to date. Okay, and a lot of men really throw out the chivalry and go, you know what, I'm not going to deal with this kind of crap. Because why would I? Right? I can just go out there and find better things to do with my time. But let's continue on to the next one.
After 2 years of marriage, my husband told me he doesn't love me anymore.
No, that's not what I said.
That's exactly what you said.
No, I said you can't keep buying stuff we don't need on Amazon every day.
It's the same thing.
And you know what, guys? Just watching that TikTok right there, I also wanted to give another response to why women don't accept accountability. Okay, and one of the reasons for that is because it makes them look bad, right? It makes other people realize, like, oh, this person has no self-respect. They have no boundaries. They treat other people terribly. Because if girls go out here, guys, and they start actually being honest and taking accountability for their decisions, like, what are they going to come out here and say? Like, oh yeah. If okay, let me give you guys an example, right? Let's just say a woman gets into a relationship and she's like 27, right? And the guy, for the sake of arguments, like, you know, he's like 29, right? And the guy asks her and he says, what's your body count? Like, how many dudes have you been with? How many partners have you been with? Like, but first of all, what's your body count, okay? If girls don't lie about that number to their boyfriends, like, they know that a lot of guys are not going to want to give them the relationship. Right, a lot of guys are going to look at you and say, look, do I really want a wife? Do I really want a long-term girlfriend? And we're just kind of putting aside the fact here that marriage is a terrible idea for a man. But again, for the sake of argument, why would a guy take you? Right, so a lot of girls don't take accountability for their actions because it actually, you know, will give them negative. People will judge them negatively. They don't want to be judged in any way other than something positive. But continuing back into this TikTok, we're going to play this through one more time because I was kind of thinking just while that played. So I want to see this one more time.
After 2 years of marriage, my husband told me he doesn't love me anymore.
No, that's not what I said.
That's exactly what you said.
No, I said you can't keep buying stuff we don't need on Amazon every day.
It's the same thing.
Okay, and this video obviously is satire right here, guys, but you know, there is an element of truth to this, right? Where a lot of girls, what they do is they measure the success of your relationship and how you know, all this kind of crap on how much money is a guy spending on me, right? How much investment is he putting in time? Is he putting in effort? Is he putting in money into the relationship? And those are the things that a lot of these girls unfortunately want to know, right? They're like, let me tell you something, guys. Girls will have such a huge issue if you spend money on a girl that isn't them. Like, for the dudes who are watching right now, I know we got a whole mixed bag of men who watch this channel, right? But if you're a guy and you're in a relationship and you buy, like, let's just say you don't buy your girlfriend anything for like month. Like, let's just say you're a guy who's inclined to buy gifts, right? But for the sake of argument, you stop buying your girl some gifts, right? And you go out there and you buy another girl a handbag, right? And even if it's for a birthday or whatever, and you say to your current girlfriend, like, oh yeah, I got Becky a handbag. And if you haven't bought your girlfriend a handbag, oh my goodness, you have just started some issues, right? Because a lot of these girls, they care where the money goes, right? And they actually care about that form of cheating a lot more. But let's continue onwards to the next TikTok.
It's the crap out of them, and then I'm left being
This one's halfway through. Let's rewind it back.
else here. Like, part of the reason why they're single is because of where they live. This guy hardly knows me, but it explains my situation perfectly. I'm from Missouri, where in general, the men do not put in a lot of effort into their looks or their ambitions, and yet there are a plethora of beautiful and smart women here. So they really get their pick of who they want. So when I come in and I say I'm an owner of 3 businesses, as a woman, for some reason, that intimidates the crap out of them, and then I'm left being single. I did this.
Man, this stuff that we see all the time, right? And this is like, what are we up to now for how many reasons why men are just not dating right now, okay? It's like, guys are not scared of your career. They're not scared of your ambition or the amount of hours that you put in the office, okay? These are not, like, it's almost as if these women don't know what intimidate or scare means, right? It's like they're just throwing around these words, trying to make something stick so that they can shame you into the relationship, right? Where guys are not scared of your career accolades. It's just that your career accolades come with things that are not necessarily beneficial to a relationship. For example, a lot of these girls who are career women, right? They end up being 40 and then they start looking for a family. One, that's too late. Number two, you get all these girls who go out here, and if girls are successful in their career, what often comes with that, guys, is a certain level of bullheadishness, right? And what I mean by that is being confrontational, being competitive and stuff like that. And guys, like, for the most part, really don't want girls that they have to compete for in the relationship. Like, why would I want a relationship with a girl, right, where every day it's a competition, right? And there are dudes in the comments right now, there are dudes watching this video right now like, yeah, man, I know what you mean, right? Like my wife or my ex-wife, I would describe our relationship as competition, and it sucked, right? It's like, why would you want competition in a relationship? Why would you want someone who's old and bitter, basically, in a relationship? Someone who's going to cause a lot of issues, and you're not necessarily physically attracted to. And quite honestly, guys, when the girls get to this age and they start pulling the career card, you're like her 50th choice anyway, right? Because she hasn't been able to lock down dudes anyway. Like, she's getting to this age and she's like, oh, I need a guy who's not going to run away from me, right?
Did this for a very long time, and I was starting to think, oh my God, is it me? But then I go to Miami once and I get a long-term boyfriend. I think it's because I'm seen as a woman who's not going to use a man for his money, which happens a lot there. So you see, it's all about perspective.
I am incredibly skeptical about that situation. And also, you could have got a boyfriend where you were living previously. Okay, anytime I hear a girl say like, oh, I couldn't find a boyfriend, then I found one, it's like, no. See, what you did was you couldn't find a guy that met your unrealistic standards. That's what it is. It has nothing to do with like, oh, I found my soulmate, right? I found the one for me. It's like, no. See, you need a certain level of criteria to be met there. And here's the thing, right? If you're a girl and you're 30, 40, and like you don't have a boyfriend, it's like, that better be a conscious decision that you're outwardly saying where you don't want a boyfriend and all that. Because if you want a boyfriend, if you want a husband, and you don't have that by 30, 40, no, absolutely not. Okay, because the question becomes, like I've said many times, what have you been doing this entire time, right? And if I had the sound effect, I would play it, but I do not.
I'm a firm believer that if you're not finding the one, it might just be because of where you live.
Okay, look, there is a certain level of validity to that, right? Like, if you're living in a very small, very low populated area, and you're a guy, or maybe there's like, that's a there's only a very, very small instance where she's correct there. The rest of the time, it's you, especially as the girl. Right? If you're a girl, I've made this point so many times, guys, and you cannot find a relationship, you cannot find a boyfriend, that's not on the men, that's not on the society, that's on you. Because there are so many opportunities to find a guy, but the thing is, these girls don't want the guys who are going to just outwardly give them everything. Like I said, guys, the video that I probably release after this one, like, a lot of these girls, man, they can't even take compliments without it being like an issue. Right? And if they do accept compliments, it's going to be from a dude that they're physically attracted to, not some guy that, like, you guys know, right, that when girls say a behavior is bad, it only means if an unattractive guy does the behavior, generally speaking. For example, it's like, oh, I don't want a guy to like make a corny joke, okay? Like, I think puns are lame, or she'll make something up. But then an attractive guy will come along who's her type, and whatever the case may be, he'll make a pun and she'll just sit there laughing her head off like, oh no, that one's different, right? Because she'll rationalize it in her head. And what I'm trying to make the point here, guys, is like, behaviors will become creepy or they'll become attractive depending on how good you look. It actually has very little to do with the behavior itself most of the time. But continuing on to the next TikTok.
Didn't learn in the previous lifetime. And although when you guys are good, it feels like that person's your best friend.
Oh, okay. So this woman right here is talking about soulmates. Let's have a listen.
Let's talk about karmatic. So karmatic is a contract that you have with someone from a previous life. And it can feel like you met your twin flame, but it is not. It's a false twin flame. No matter what they try to tell you, it is not your twin flame. This person is here to teach you the lessons that you didn't learn in the previous lifetime. And although when you guys are good, it feels like that person's your best friend and you're codependent on their energy, this person, when you guys are fighting, it's toxic. And typically they're narcissistic and it's abusive. So what happens is you guys fight and fight and fight and fight, but it's usually about the same things over and over and over again, like a cycle. So it's up to you to be spiritually awakened to break that cycle. And even if you get out of this cycle with this person and you don't learn the lessons you were supposed to, the universe will keep blessing you with the same kind of person over and over and over again till you do.
Chad. But anyway, I don't know if you heard during that, gentleman, but there was like, I don't know if you guys heard my mic. A spider literally dropped down from the ceiling right in front of my face there. That was something. But anyway, this girl right here, guys, anytime women start to use this language of like spiritual awakening or like, oh, this is my twin flame or soulmates or manifesting or, you know, anything of the spiritual nature, gentlemen, I don't know of any more, like, there are obvious red flags, right? Like tattoos and all that kind of crap. But this is one of another huge, obvious red flag, okay? Where, like, girls will oftentimes outline the fact that their relationships are bad, right? Where, like, guys treat them terribly. But again, returning to the question, I'm actually going to pull this up to kind of talk over this for a moment here. This, goodness, man, I keep pulling up the wrong thing, don't I? Back on the accountability. Okay, the accountability. I want you guys to notice how whenever women phrase their, a lot of these modern women phrase their relationships, it's always in terms of like, oh, this was something that happened to me, right? I was not the person who initiated any of this. I did not have any decision making in this, or it's always crap like I felt trapped or I couldn't leave and stuff like that, guys. Where you've got to understand that a lot of these girls, they actually have they have power in a relationship, guys. You know what I mean? It's like if they didn't want to be there, they don't have to be there. And it's amplified even more because of the amount of options that they have, right? If a girl looks half good, and again, thank you for this question over on Patreon, guys. I really appreciate it. But like, if a girl looks half good, this whole idea of accountability in relationships, like she'll never take it, right? She'll never take it because with taking that comes a set of repercussions. Right, it comes with a set of issues where now people actually get to judge you. But if you start using language like, oh, you know, it's spiritual and I was trying to understand, right, and I had no idea what was going on, then you can pass it off as if you're like a victim in this situation, right? Which is what a lot of these girls try and do, right? And I always find it interesting, right? Like, I can't help but looking like a lot of times, guys. This woman has to have Botox, right? Or she's got like lip fillers whitened teeth, potentially like some like what is going on? Oh my God, that's my question. What is going on here, man? But let's continue on to the next TikTok.
He bought it. I'm spoiled and rotten husband.
Righto. Okay, so it's just going to be refusing to play here. But from memory, this TikTok was basic. Let me see if I can pull it up and just refresh over here. But I believe this one just had a bunch of things. Ridiculous things paid for by her husband.
Like my phone.
Let's pull this up.
You like my phone? My husband, he bought it. You like my car? My husband, he bought it. My husband, he bought it. My husband, he bought it. I'm spoiled and rotten. My husband, he.
You know, guys, watching videos like this, right? Oftentimes, I think we can watch stuff like this and like have a bit of a laugh and all that. But just a quick story here, nothing too special. But I got a mate in real life right now, and you know, we're not the closest of friends, but I know the guy, right? And he's going through he's going through a divorce at the moment, right now. He's up to lose half his crap. Like at least half his crap of pretty much everything, all the major assets and stuff like this, guys, where like girls will oftentimes go for dudes who have the financial upper hand in the relationship and they know what they're doing, right? A lot of these women will play the long game and play the year game and act all feminine and awesome and like great relationship material, guys. But when push comes to shove, right, when the teeth are in, you've got to understand that these girls can leave at any given point in time and take a lot of your crap, if not the kids and all that kind of stuff. Right, but let's actually take a look at some of these comments and walk through with you guys to see what some of these people have to say. This first one here, absolutely brutal, coming out the gate from a woman named Brooke Ashley, saying, try getting a job and buying your own stuff. Mary Luna here says, it's not yours, it's your husband, with an emoji that looks ridiculous. Next person, Vanessa E, says, yeah, but if he ever leaves, he's taking it all. Lamau. That's actually not necessarily true, right? Again, depending on where you live in the world, guys, like through common law marriage, these girls can literally just take it. Like, you don't actually have to be married to a lot of these women for them to take your stuff anymore, right? It's like they, depending on where you live, obviously, but like you're up to lose a lot of your possessions if your relationships break up and stuff like that. And just to really hammer it home, guys, you do not have to be married for girls to take this stuff from you, right? Alimony, child support, taking half your assets, taking your kids, taking the majority of the time with your kids, so they have time to turn your kids against you. And these are things that don't happen uncommonly. But let's continue on with some of these comments here. You do realize that you don't have the newest phone now. 2 years later, his lawyers, they took it. This made me laugh, showing off all this and your wedding ring smaller than mine's, laughing. I've noticed as well, right? A lot of people on TikTok, man, they just say like really awful. They just go in, right? They just roast the hell out of people. Is pretty interesting. Oh, I wish I had those, but yeah, try getting a job, Karen, in all capitals. This person says, why does that look like the Ace family old house? You have an 11 and you have an extra small, which makes me richer than you, with emojis. What does he do for a living? You have a shelf life, and when he is done with you, you get traded and upgraded. Man, a lot of these girls, maybe it's happened to them a few times, right, where they get booted out. They think that they're going to have access to this lifestyle, and then the guy just pulls the switch on them and they don't get the relationship anymore, right? And like, this person must be from like LA or something. Like, these girls, like, they all have like work done to their face and teeth whitening and all that stuff, I swear. But let's continue on to the next TikTok, which of course is not going to start, and I once again have to refresh it. This is again talking about her husband, gentlemen, and these are all reasons why a lot of men just choose not to date, by the way. But continuing back into it momentarily, let's see what this woman has to say right here.
Perhaps a salad?
Okay, so up the top here, let me just pull this down so you guys can see. This says, me after complaining to my husband all week that I needed to lose some weight, with a laughing emoji.
Perhaps not. I'll have the steak smothered in onions, a rack of ribs, pasta with extra garlic, French fries with lots of vinegar, and a side of onion rings with lots and lots of sour.
Perhaps a salad?
Perhaps not. I'll have...
Right. And gentlemen, this is just something on self-restraint, which is obviously, right, like a lot of guys will do stuff like this too. But like saying one thing and then doing a different thing with your actions and changing your mind instantly afterwards. This is something that spins a lot of dudes out, right? Where they got like wives or long-term girlfriends and stuff like that. And a lot of these girls, they just be changing their mind every 2 seconds on a lot of important issues, right? A lot of guys, what they want to do is they want to kind of like delegate the decision-making to the girls. And it'll just end up in an absolute train wreck, right? And not only that, right? Like if you sit there and you delegate all of the decision making and all of that to these girls, a lot of them will actually hate the dudes that do that, right? They'll insist, they'll be like, oh yeah, you know, I want to share some of the load, I want to make these decisions. And then you start to let them make the decisions, and guys, they absolutely hate it, right? A lot of these modern women, they don't like being in the driver's seat of anything that really goes on. You know, I always cringe when I see these discussions on Facebook where like couples are arguing about where they're going to eat. Like, just pick a damn place, and if she cries about it, then she can stay home while you go out to eat, right? Just save yourself the time. And again, this is another reason why a lot of dudes choose not to date, is like, okay, why would I sit there and have to double check everything, right? And then even if they agree on something, they might just change their mind later. So it's as if we never even said anything. And it's just going to drive me up the walls. Why would I go through all that stuff when I can just, you know, not do that? But gentlemen, we've got a bit of an article here that I'm going to be pulling up to just kind of wrap up today's mess of a show with. So let me see where it is. Here we go. This is an absolutely beautiful article. I thought some of you gentlemen in the audience would appreciate, because it is very funny. Right here, this is titled, Overcoming the Bitterness That Is Middle-Aged Dating, or I never tried to convince a guy to clean out my roof gutters. So what you'll notice, gentlemen, is a lot of girls who get to an older age, like they can play these games and this BS, right? And dudes will put up with it, right? Which is sad to see. But as they get older, guys, they start to get bitter. They start to go, where's my man? Why can't I find a husband? Because dudes aren't, willing to put up with your crap nearly as much as you get older as well. But let's see what this article has to say. If I could describe middle-aged daters in one word, it would be bitter, and that bitterness is destroying our chances at finding love. Let's start with the origins of our resentment. For many of us, it began with the very event, usually a D or a divorce, that caused us to be single in the first place. We never expected to be in this situation at our age, and we're still in mourning for our past lives, or at least our idealized versions of them. Let's just pause right here, okay? I would argue that not all people who are single as they get older are as a result of this. I think a lot of modern women who get to 30, they're single because they can't keep a damn man, or they're always trying to jump from the next thing to the next thing, which again, refer to point number 1, they can't keep a man. So let's continue. As we set sail on the murky waters of adult dating, we feel that fate has already failed us. We'd assumed that our lives were settled, only to discover our partner weren't who we hoped they were, or perhaps they'd had the poor taste to leave prematurely. So even as we push off the dock, we are coming from a place of abandonment. Again, not all people leave from this situation, but just notice right off the bat, we're setting ourselves up to be a victim and take no accountability for any relationship that may or may not have existed last week. Let's continue onwards. Our bitterness only deepens when we go online to find ourselves adrift in the hazard culture of disposable people. We go from being the one to becoming one of innumerable seekers in an impersonal, sometimes hostile environment. We are subject to fake profiles, false representations, self-delusional photographs, and for women, allegedly playful bedroom fun innuendos, which come across as something I can't say. Sane people do not send unsolicited photographs of body parts. By the time we do meet a real, potentially sound individual, we're already leery, and each time one of our new prospects disappoints us, we become that much more disheartened. Until eventually we see our dates as probable losers, siphoning off the remaining minutes of our lives rather than joyful additions who might brighten them. We know it won't work anyway, so our efforts become virtually non-existent. It's as if we're at war with our own desires. We might want a relationship in theory, but we're mired in pessimism. In short, we're afraid to become invested. Unfortunately, our discouragement can render us unattractive. Back when I was dating, I was surprised at the number of guys who chose to spend our initial meetings going through a litany of terrible first dates and online agonies and failed relationships. And oh yeah, did I want to meet up again? No, I didn't. Okay, so guys, just kind of setting off their frame right here. This is obviously an older girl who has tried online dating and realized that, you know what, a lot of guys are not interested in having long-term relationships for you, because here's the thing, right? Guys who are perhaps a bit older, a bit more established in their careers, who have got their life together. A lot of guys who have gotten to that age have spent the time working on their lives and they have something together. And guys who have options, who have put in the work, it's like, why would they turn around and date a 40-year-old girl who's bitter and frustrated, right? Because that girl could have got her dating done way earlier in life, but she chose to put it off until such a late period of time. And then she complains about the fact that she's single. Right? It's like, I'm going to go out and do one thing, but then I'm going to be upset when I don't have a boyfriend, I don't have a husband, I'm 40 years old, and nobody seems to give me what I want. It's like, you could have got what you want many years ago. And just before we continue onwards, guys, I actually had a few questions about this a little while ago, which it's a word I can't really use, but like someone asked me, like, Taylor, what do you think of femme? And then insert the selves on the end of it, right? And it's an absolute joke, guys. It really is. Girls who wake up and don't eat too much food and shower can find a guy. It doesn't matter if you're smart. It doesn't matter if you're stupid. It doesn't matter if you're poor. It doesn't matter if you're rich, okay? If you just don't eat a truck ton of food, right, and you're moderately well looking and you take a shower, you can find a girl. I mean, you can find a guy as a girl, right? But men don't have that luxury, so when girls get to 40 and they write full-on articles like this complaining about how they're bitter, I don't know about you gentlemen, but I'm just well out of sympathy by this point. Let's continue on. blah, 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 blah. Apparently, they'd enlisted me to reassure them that they were indeed normal in a world gone mad, but it didn't seem like they actually wanted to get to know me. They were too busy dissecting their own histories as if wondering, what did I ever do to deserve this? Oh, you mean much like yourself? Perhaps we keep our prospects at a distance because they have the power to reject us. We're afraid of putting ourselves on the line only to be told it isn't enough. You are not enough. Or even worse, opening ourselves up to someone only to have them disappear on us. With no shared histories, there's no accountability. After a few discussions, we might quick become bitter indeed. But our business is causing us to self-sabotage. We already know it won't work, so we don't even try. In preparation for failure, we offer so little of ourselves. We fail to examine our own roles and why our past relationships ended. We just wanted to avoid ever being in such a vulnerable place again, and we use our what the hell, man, to do exactly that. I am tired, all right? Our loins might be open, but our emotions are girded, our expectations virtually non-existent, and our hearts are calcified. All right, guys, we're going to be wrapping it up right there, but just absolutely ridiculous. Again, once again, returning to the topic here, overcoming the bitterness that is middle-aged dating. And this is by a woman named Debbie, of course, guys, of course. Here's the thing. If you're a girl and you get to 40 and you haven't found your man, okay, look, if your dude is out of your life by things that you cannot control, fair enough. That absolutely sucks. But if you get to a 40, and you're a girl who hasn't gone through that situation, you could have found your man already. So people are not going to listen to your complaints. But gentlemen, we're going to be wrapping up today's episode there. So as always, guys, make sure you leave your thoughts and your comments. It's always interesting to see what you gentlemen have to say. And don't forget to leave your thoughts as well to today's Patreon question as well, guys. Let us know in the comments what you think about this right here, which is, why don't modern women accept accountability? But guys, we're going to be wrapping it there. As always, make sure you take care of yourselves, and I'll be seeing you boys in the next episode. Peace.